there's times when you'll listen to it where every time you'll hear something different. And so it's important to re-listen, take notes when you're re-listening, what's standing out to you this time, what did you catch this time that you maybe didn't catch the last time. Listen to it a couple of times and definitely take notes throughout. And personally, I think it's a big benefit if you sit down after your session, you go home, sit down, grab a notepad and write out as much as you can about the past life or lives if you've had more than one.
Absolutely. Or future life or
Or
current life
future life.
situation that
Oh my
you're
gosh,
visiting,
yes.
right?
There's no
We never
limitations.
know. We never know.
Planet life, future life, current life, past life. Write it down.
Exactly. One thing that I also encourage clients to do, and thank you for that because that's very, very important, is that journaling process. So I love that you talk about that. The other thing that I would like to mention that's really important is working with that intuitive side, that higher self that we just finished talking with, and really using that in practice with your daily. It doesn't stop when you're out of our office. I honestly think that this is a really beautiful session where you can connect with your higher perspective, your higher knowing, and really using that muscle memory by working with it after the session, especially the next few days, really being very conscious with it because when I'm asking questions to my clients and all of us practitioners, we're really asking for your higher knowing, your intuitive self to tune in and give us that answer. There's going
Mhm.
to be, it doesn't just shut off, right?
Right.
You can actually keep asking yourself questions and get some inner guidance, and you'll get a knowingness of, okay, this is clear. This kind of feels similar to where, and it's just your intuition that really I'm asking you to tune into, right?
Right. The higher self never goes away. It's just, I think that this fine tunes how you're connecting to it, gets that critical mind out of the way. And so to further the conversations with it after a session is really just teaching yourself how to be connected to the higher self throughout the whole day. Like you're constantly having those conversations in your head, and you can be talking to an ego aspect of self, or you could be talking to a higher aspect of self. And you'll know that by how you're responding, right? Like you're having a conversation in your head and it's like, no, you're not, you don't deserve that. That'll never happen for you. That's not going to work. That's ego self. And the higher self would be, well, what would it take to get there? And what kind of steps could you take today? And something that's encouraging and a higher frequency thought.
Right. Right.
That's going to
And
be
then,
that intuitive or higher self coming in.
right. And I want to share a really fun, quick story that I did the other day. I know, right? I was like, "Oh, I got running out of time, guys.
Get that story in.
I really do get inner guidance when I am doing something, simple things like I wouldn't go on that elevator, right? And I'm just like, I kind of went the other day, I said to my higher self, I said, can you give me like a clear yes or no, like I'm on the right path? Because even I get second guessy, right? On like, really, am I connecting with my higher self? Like, we're human, right? We can get disconnected very easily, just like anyone else. And even though we're in this
Yeah.
work, so we do need to really check ourselves sometimes. So I kind of just went, no, I kind of need a clear yes or no. Like, am I really connecting right now? And I was taking my dog in the elevator from the first floor going up. We're supposed to use a different elevator, a service elevator, not the regular elevator when we have a pet. And my higher self was like, yeah, don't use the regular elevator, use a service. And I was like, I'm really not going to do that because it's on the 21st floor and I don't wait for it to come in. And it's 11:30 at night. Who's going to possibly see me? And yeah, so I went on the other elevator, the one that my higher self told me not to. And who do I run into? The person who doesn't like it when they see dogs in that elevator. Okay.
Oh,
And I
so
was
you
kind
didn't
of,
trust the nudge.
yeah. So I was like laughing so hard, going, y'all gave me the sign I was looking for. Because I just asked for a sign like a day before, right? So
Yeah.
I thought, okay, this is fun. Yeah, so even for the minutia, right? You can actually ask, but really also do ask. Your higher self's always listening. So you can always ask for like confirmation if you're on the right path. And like you said, it'll be an uplifting or a inner knowing. We do not just connect with our higher self when we get into session. I mean, this is something that has been with us since the day we were born. The only difference is in society norms, it's just not normal that we're being taught that, hey, you have an inner knowing, you have a higher self. Unless you have a really cool household where you were taught this from a very young age, this is going to be really the first time that you're really understanding what it means when it's connection. And again, you're connected your whole life. So when you come to session, it's more like, oh, that's who you are. I've known you. Yes. And so it's more of a reconnection when you come to session of somebody that you've always known.
Here's another thing we should bring up: integrating the healing.
Oh, yes, that's a big one.
Yeah. So when you have a session and you get the instructions and the confirmation, yeah, we're healing this aspect, we're healing this physical thing that's going on, and you get home, you might start to doubt it. And so you really need to start thinking about, do I believe that I could be healed in a session like this? Because really you're not dealing with whether or not you are healed. You're dealing with whether or not you believe you could be. And so you need to take a journey with integrating that healing too, and making sure that there's no doubt in your mind that this can heal and will heal and did heal and all the things. So I am a testimony of those things myself with my own healings along the way. And I've had things go on in my physical body where I'm like, why is my shoulder hurt? Why can't I pick my arm up past here? Why is my back killing me or whatever? And then when I finally find that emotional aspect that went with it, it goes away. And I've fought that, thinking, well, it can't be that easy, can it? But when you get in those sessions, allow yourself to be very honest with yourself about your feelings. These are confidential sessions. Get very honest with yourself. Sometimes that kind of sucks, because sometimes we feel things that we wish we didn't feel. But there might be resentment or anger or jealousy or something that we don't really want to look at because we don't want to admit we're having that moment. Look at it, and it might be the thing you need to look at that's going to help you integrate that healing and trust that you are actually, once you experience it, you'll have no doubt your body can do anything. It can heal anything. It can take it away like that. Or if you believe it's going to take 3 weeks, it can take 3 weeks. So what would you say about integrating the healing?
Absolutely. One thing I do want to bring up is I had a session where a gentleman came in. He came in twice. So one time he came in amazing. His higher self did some wonderful work on him. He walked away released of some physical thing that was going on in his body. Came back a second time, and the higher self said, "Hey, you're in a relationship in your life that is really taxing on you, and this is why you're going through these symptoms." Calls me back about 2 weeks later and goes, "Hey, I'm not seeing the results that I did the first time." And I'm like, "Well, I kind of do remember because I don't remember all my sessions, but I said I kind of do remember your higher self giving you some instructions on why you're experiencing things. Did you listen to your session?" "Yeah, but and I was just like, okay. All right,
Yeah.
there was some
We
instructions
don't want
there."
to always make the changes it's telling us we need to make in order for this to work. But yeah, sometimes you have to, it's not a magic wand. We've been saying that over and over again. Sometimes you have to go home and
Sometimes
change
it
some
is though.
habits, walk
Yeah,
away
and
from
yeah.
things, change a job. There might be some physical changes that need to occur for you to have the healing that you're looking for.
And fun one is getting with the elements. Like mine, I'll talk about my session where my higher self said, "Get in the water." And I was like, okay, but she's experiencing hip pain. Stop walking and running, get in the water. And it was just very to the point. And then the
Mhm.
practitioner said, well, she has to go on a trip in about a week or two, and she's going to be doing miles of walking. and this pain could really hinder this trip. Should she cancel it? And they're like, no, she'll be just fine. She'll feel no pain. And mind you, I've had pain for like a year. And they're like, she just needs to get in the water. So I said, I have no idea what this is about, but I'm going to get in the water. I get in the water and pain gone. If I don't get to water like I'm supposed to regularly for exercise, I get funny pains. And come to find out through thorough research and, you know, different types of sessions and even more QHA sessions, I'm very connected to the element of water. So sometimes I have clients that come in where the higher self says they need to be in, their hands need to be in the soil planting.
I get that.
They need to get with trees.
Hug a tree.
Yes. And it's funny because to us it's like they may come in and want to have like this profound, you know, sitting on the Himalayan Buddha kind of wisdom, and then it's like, oh, you need to put your hands in the dirt, you know, and they're just like, what? Go dig a hole. And trust me, you don't understand what's going on when you connect with a certain element that is your prescription. You don't really understand. So if they're saying, hey, you got a green thumb, start planting, there's some medicine there for you, or like me, get in the water. Well, I started that process and now I'm like an ocean videographer. Like, who would have thought? And I do like these amazing dives. So you never know what's really on the other end of the information that's given. And it's almost sometimes like a wonderful little puzzle because they give us these little amazing hints. And and we just kind of follow through to see really what wonderfulness is on the other end of that prescription.
Love it. Yeah. These are great ways to integrate all the things, right? Like, just don't be in resistance to your session and be open to what's said and the changes, and be curious about it. Make the changes.
I have another one for you. What about when the higher self doesn't sound so open and loving and like angels in the sky and this amazingness, and it comes in really strong and really aggressive or stern and uses some choice words? What do you say about that?
Well, I mean, everything happens for a reason, and these sessions are very powerful in that way. Like, our job as practitioners is to trust the higher self that they're bringing through exactly what that client needs. So I just talked to that gruffer version. I might even ask them, you know, these suggestions seem very harsh or drastic. Is there a reason? You know, you might ask the SC why it's coming through military, you know, like so but yeah, sometimes that's what it takes. And it could even be that, you know, they're going to match us where we're at. Our higher selves know what it's going to take to help us create these outcomes. So let's say you grew up in a household with a military parent. Maybe your SC is going to come through in that way because it knows you will listen to that. It's hard to say.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. I've experienced where they've come in really broaden, open, macro consciousness, where it's like, what are you asking me? That's such an earth question. Like, what do you mean your car? Like, what? You know, I've had those, and then I've had some where it's like very earthly, and just using some wonderful language. And I'm, you know, it happens very seldomly, I will say. I'm not saying this happens very commonly, but I can look at that and kind of, you know, you get to know your client and go, oh yeah, I can see they might need a little sternness, or sometimes the higher self is a little frustrated. They're like, they're not listening.
Yeah.
They're not listening. We keep showing them. Yeah.
So true. Yeah. And it's our job, you know, they're talking to us all the time, our environments, what we notice in the world, the people we meet. You know, these sessions are profound and can bring through a lot of things, but also pay attention to afterwards. What are you noticing in your world? What's coming forward? They're all clues to get us to that next thing, right? Like, what do we need to know to start looking around?
Right. And just think, you know, whatever it is that you're looking for, you'll be surprised, pleasantly surprised sometimes, where you receive the answer, just like I did when I was like can you just, am I connected? Am I really, really connected? Like, come on. And they gave me that little clear
You
answer,
know,
like,
had you got on the other elevator, you wouldn't have known.
exactly. It was
You
all,
might have still questioned. So it was important for you to not listen so that you would see that you should have listened.
yeah, sometimes,
So sometimes it works that way, right? Like we're learning, and so we're learning in the times when we don't listen as well. Because if had you had listened to that, you wouldn't have been in there with the tenant that doesn't like the dogs, and you wouldn't have went, "Oh, I am hearing it right." You needed that experience.
yeah, yeah. And as far as a, final words on after a session, some of the things that I really share with my clients is, really pay attention to you and really tune in to what you want after session. Like if you need to just, feel like going out and relaxing by the beach or just having a nice stroll in nature, really just connecting to yourself and being mindful of your space and what you need, and paying attention to your needs is super important after you do a session or any modality for that matter, really integrating that time and space that you need.
100%. Yeah. And that's so important with anything in life. We're so used to in this society put everybody ahead of us, put them first, especially as females. Parenting maternal instinct is to put everybody first and take care of everybody and do all those things. And it is important for us to take care of ourselves and put ourselves in that lineup. Sometimes we get the last cookie, on the plate. So it's really important, I think, that as we start to understand, it's really important for humanity, anyone, male, female, doesn't matter. Don't sacrifice your joy to make someone else happy, because odds are you're not making them happy either. And so now two people are unhappy. What do you want? What would bring you joy? Doesn't mean you don't compromise from time to time. Life is still life and you're still living it with other people, but don't always put your needs on the back burner. It's so important that we take care of ourselves.
Absolutely, because you don't need to say things to say that you're uncomfortable. Your energy speaks volumes. If you're
Yeah,
unhappy or uncomfortable and not a good space in a good space, your frequency is coming off your body. This space is picking up on it, and so is everyone else. So, really, when we think that we're sacrificing or doing the right thing, we're actually doing a disservice to many and really not realizing it. And thank God science is finally catching on and really paying attention to the quantum world, right? That people are starting to understand and really talk about things on very public platforms on how important it is to be in a space of self love. And that means with being mindful of what your needs are. So, yeah, I
absolutely.
love that. Thank you so much for dropping that amazing wisdom.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tracy.
Wow, I can't believe we did that in 10 minutes.
I think we did. We'll see what the timer says. We didn't. All right. Well,
It
thanks,
was still
guys.
fun, wonderful.